Hey, good evening. It's me, Maria, back with another video. It's 5:57 p.m. It is Friday, May 14th, and it's almost the evening time. So I just wanted to come on here and make a video talking about my mood and my progress that I've been making as far as, the everyday. How am I dealing with life every day after dealing with, which something that traumatized me, for a very long time. So this is kind of my journey and just kind of talking about that. Not necessarily talking about the gang stalking itself, okay? Because really, I don't like to think about the individuals that got involved in this. It's really that bad. But, I do have a different mindset than I had like 10 years ago, 15 years ago. My life completely changed. It's just how I see people. Like, me and my mama, we always had a kind of a rocky type relationship. But overall, I always had love for my mother. Overall, like, I always loved my mother, even though I know she did a lot of messed up things. But then I started thinking about how she allowed my brother and sisters to walk all over me. She even participated in it. And looking back on the things that I grew up with, and the taunting, the teasing, the bullying, remembering her being a part of it. And it's just been a very slow progress of me understanding like the whole scapegoating thing. I mean, I know what scapegoating is, but like when you internalize the fact that this is what you are, this is who I am. Like my family, just like in the biblical times or other people who've talked about being scapegoats or the black sheep of the family. It's a form of abuse, really, and it is. It's like sometimes parents have children and they don't particularly like this child for whatever reason. Maybe. I mean, this is not the case with my family, but there's some of the examples that can make a person a scapegoated child. In my mom's case, in my case, it was like my mother was already done having children. She had her children late in life. Like some people think that having children after 30 is kind of old. And it used to be looked upon like that. But now I see a lot of women having children after the age of 30. But still, my mom had three other children before she had me. And then she was just tired of it. Because, a lot of people go in these expectations of, being a mother, what a mother's like, because kids are real cute. Like I used to like kids because the little chubby cheeks and the funny little things that they say and the little toys that they play with and stuff. There's a certain thing about children that is very lovable, and you love them just because they are tiny little things. But not everybody is prepared or even wants to shape, mold, educate a child. Like you really, there's a lot of effort that goes into children, and then clothing them, feeding them, and it's just like it's a responsibility, a 24-hour day responsibility till that child's 18. And for some people, their kids, they assume responsibility for their kids even after that age. So my mother was, disillusioned. So the time I rolled around, it was like she had enough, and it was just this is how she treated me all my life. And then on top of the fact that I was an intelligent person, I was able to recognize even at that age that there was something not right about the dynamics in that family. You know what I mean? And it's always the one that's kind of outspoken. I wasn't doing it in a rebellious way. It was just I was making an observation that I felt needed to be, verbalized. Okay, not at try. I was trying to scorn anybody. It's just that this isn't right. Because I was already interested in reading things about like human behavior, a little bits of psychology, even for my age. Understanding human emotions, these sort of things, and I was starting to put it together. I'm like, this is wrong. What's this going on over here is wrong. But I never, but she and I had our riffs. You know what I mean? Um, but so I'm living a completely different reality. It's like, okay, I came from this abusive family. Now that I've never really thought that deeply of it about the whole issue. But this issue is what started the got the wheels in motion for the gang stalking, for all the trauma that went on in my life. All because I was born in the wrong family. It's really deep when I think about this. You know what I mean? But anyway, so the reason why I want to make this video is number one, just kind of talk about odds and ends, things that are coming up in my mind, and then also I wanted to do like a little product review kind of. I went and got some glasses from this place called Google's for You. Now, I think about 5 or 6 years ago, I was talking to somebody, and we were talking about their glasses because, you know, it was probably around the time where I needed to get my prescription filled for new glasses. So I was talking to this girl. She was like much younger than me, and she was saying that she got some glasses online, right? And this is the time where like things are really moving fast. Mostly everything is starting to be ordered online. So the idea of ordering glasses online was like, wow, that's kind of weird. How would you do that? Because it's like you got to fit glasses, you got to make sure. And then she went into this process, right? So this is not a new thing, okay? But it's the first time I myself have ordered eyeglasses online, okay? So I wasn't really picky about what kind of style I was getting for my eyeglasses, and I'll tell you why. But at the time when this girl was telling me about her experience of buying the eyeglasses online, her eyeglasses only cost her $10. Okay, to me that's like, I have a stigmatism, okay, in my eyes, and I wear like bifocals or whatever, and my glasses are really, you know, different than most people. They can get away with just like basic type glasses, but mine are a little bit more special. So you know, I knew I wasn't going to get away with the $10, but I wanted to get something really close. Like, you know, I'm just always looking for bargains, right? So since it was 5 years ago, I know I'm not going to get anything for $10 because of the cost of, you know, inflation and all that other stuff. So I kept thinking, well, I wanted something reasonable. I'm just going to try. This is like a trial and error, okay? These glasses are not that important to me, but I do want to get an understanding of, is this possible? Can I be satisfied? Will they get this prescription right? You know, are they going to be competent in what they're doing? Because I don't know. This could be somebody working in their bathroom, okay, crafting these glasses. How am I supposed to know, right? So anyway, I ordered these glasses from Google's For You. And I think this pair cost me maybe about $30, okay, which isn't bad. And yes, I got these super round glasses, and I know what you're saying, but that's not what's in style. Okay, Maria has never been one to follow style. I mean, like, what I mean by style is fashion. Now, sometimes I will buy what is in the stores, what's being displayed in the stores, because, you know, like anything that gets introduced into fashion, into the stores or whatever, most fashions have been recycled. Okay, like back in the 80s, there were people who were wearing clothes that were popular in the 60s. Okay, and remember like when the grease came out, people were starting to talk about the 50s. So clothes and fashion and certain items are always going to keep coming back in style, always, okay? And I understand that. But some people wear clothes because it's a part of their status or whatever. I don't wear clothes for status. I wear clothes for my own enjoyment. Okay, and everything that I do for my own enjoyment. So no, I don't care about what's stylish or whatever. I'm buying what pleases me. Which is it's hard for a lot of people to understand that way of thinking, but I'm an individual and this is what I am. Okay, so anyway, back to the glasses. So I'm going to explain these glasses. I remember growing up seeing these glasses all the time, okay, on different people, okay? And I kept thinking, I think they're kind of dorky looking, you know what I mean? But I just remember seeing them all the time. And since I was just trying Google's For You, I figured, you know, I'm going to give this a try and just order these as a tester, okay? Just to see if I can start, you know, from this point on, start doing it exclusively, buying my glasses online. So these are it. I'm going to try them on. Now, these to me are kind of invisible because you can't really see them, like the lenses and stuff. You know what I mean? Because there's no rim around them. So I don't know. It's kind of going to take me some time to get used to these. I don't know if I'll wear them, you know, outside my home or whatever, but they're not bad. And I can see in them. So I mean, I guess they're all right. So maybe that's what I'll be doing. Oh, great. I know I just dropped my new glasses that I bought full price on the floor. I don't want to get scratches on my glasses, but anyway, I thought I'd share that with you. So now, you know, I'm not somebody who, you know, I think some of the issues with my targeting is because when you are a different person, you have different ideas in life than the majority. People want to beat them out of you. They do, and they don't realize that it's a form of bullying. Some people in their mind, and it's very twisted, but they feel like they're supposed to correct what they think is wrong in you, you know, and sometimes they have it backwards, you know what I mean? Like, you know, I grew up with a family that, you know, was pretty overweight, and then they, not all of them, but the majority of them are kind of like, you know, they just overeat, and I'm not blaming them for that. I'm not trying to shame anybody for that because I understand people want pleasure. I'm like, we're pleasure seekers. We're natural pleasure seekers. We want things that are going to like give us that charge, something that's going to give us some sort of excitement, right? And for some people, that's food. Okay, and that's what it is. That's what they do. That's what makes them happy. That's what makes them content. For me, it's like talking about different ideas, something that's stimulating to me, different concepts and stuff like that. This is what it really really excites me. Okay, and I realized in my life that these thoughts that I have, these ideas that I wish that I could bring to fruition somehow. You know what I mean? Is far more appealing to me than that taste of that cheesecake. And that cheesecake is good. But there's certain things in my mind that are better than food. You know what I mean? And I would go so far to say that it's even better than sex itself. Just what goes on in my mind. You know what I mean? So I'm a very inward person. You know what I mean? And so they don't understand that. They think that there's something wrong with me. I do think, I understand, like, most cultural norms, and I'm not just talking about black or white. I'm talking about age in general, okay? Just most women are married, okay? They're married with kids and blah, 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 blah. Well, my life has a different pathway. It was in a different path, you know what I mean? And because to me, this is completely normal. I'm dealing with everyday life. This is like, I never look at myself like, oh man, I feel so out of the place because, this person's married, and I don't think of it that way. To me, this is my life. It's completely normal to me. What's not normal to me is to try to, go and be opposite of what I am. And what I am is just one of those, I guess, maybe eccentric, intellectual type people who like to ponder, and they are really excited to have their own thoughts and ideas. And this is what they're focused on all the time. And, and people think, oh, don't you need love? Okay, every goddamn person on the face of this earth needs love, but there's very little of it. And like I said, it's not just romantic love, okay, or platonic love, or the love that we feel for our siblings or children, or, the kind of love that's not necessarily sexual, okay? At least it is not for me, but it is for some people, okay, obviously. What I found out, that people tend to normalize, and I'm like, oh, God. Anyway, but there's very little of that in this world, okay? And, I understand that people wonder and ponder about it, and for them, they kind of merge the two together. Like, somebody who takes care of themselves is somebody who is setting themselves up because they're in love. I'm in love with my visions in life, my life. I'm in love with the things that go on in my mind, and I want to bring them to fruition. There's always in my mind this idea for who I am and what I want to be and where I want to be. And it's not necessarily fame, fortune, or anything. It's a state of being is what it is. And this is enough for me. This is my life. You know what I mean? And it's that motivates me to be the way that I am. Like, I think people should do what they love, every day if they possibly can. If it's not hurting anybody, you should. You know what I mean? And some people will say, well, you're making people jealous. Look, you got to take responsibility for your own self. There are certain people who have things that are more than me. You know what I mean? They have things going on in their lives that's more than me, meaning maybe they have business plans that are actually picking up. Maybe they have a better home. You know what I mean? Maybe that's what they have, or they have better material possessions than me, okay? But I don't think of those things. I think about my limits, the things that I desire for myself, and I will tell you, I'm not a materialistic person. What I feel like I lack in life is quality relationships. And I'm not talking about love relationships, like sexual love relationships that are going to lead to marriage or anything like that. I'm talking about dealing with honest people who truly care about me. And then it could have an even exchange. You know what I mean? All I've ever dealt with was a narcissistic family who encouraged these groups of people to bully me just as much as they did and normalize it and think it's okay. It's not okay. You know what I mean? And so I've always dealt with their bubble all my life. You know what I mean? So it's like, I know that I like talking to people. I enjoy, good conversation, but I also have this standard, and I rightfully so. And I believe people should have standards. You should not allow yourself to be subjected to people who bully you, who belittle you, who abuse you, who want to change and manipulate you. Um, that's abuse. You know what I mean? And I do know that I am different, but I believe in my standards. Any self-respecting person who truly loves himself, which I'm going to tell you what, I love myself. If I'm willing to die for my beliefs, if I'm willing to, stand up and make these videos and tell everyone fuck off because I know that they're wrong. I know what they did was abusive, and I knew what they did was completely selfish, and all of it, that says a lot. You know what I mean? And I do believe that people should love themselves. And I'm not saying that loving yourself is a bad thing. Meaning, like, some people think, well, that's arrogance. Let me tell you something. You have to have, if you want to call it arrogance, you can go ahead and call it arrogance, okay? But setting standards for yourself so that you can avoid dealing with people who are going to abuse you, take advantage of you, which they've already taken advantage of me. And once you understand what's going on, you stand up for yourself and say no more and cut these motherfuckers off. And that's just how it has to be. You know what I mean? And it's about your own self-love. You know what I mean? And there's nothing wrong. When people hate you, they will try to make you think differently. That's part of the gaslighting, okay? If you guys have been doing your research on narcissistic abuse, you're going to know about gaslighting, okay? Gaslighting is a term that was originally taken from the movies, like a 1930s movie about a man who's manipulating his wife, playing mental games with her. Very similar to what goes on in gang stalking. Like misplacing items and, saying one thing and then flipping the script to make her kind of seem crazy, right? And anyway, the thing is that when you are dealing with people who constantly misuse you, abuse you, take advantage of you or whatever, and you think that you're supposed to allow yourself to put up with abuse because they're your blood relation, because they've been friends with you for 30, 40, 50 something years, because of whatever. And then you look back in your life and you realize all these things happened to me that were very similar, and then just built up and built up and built up until it became explosive. And you start realizing the cause of it. And you think, how could these people possibly care about you? How could they? And why would you continue on a relationship with, what people are always going to have something against you, especially if somebody's jealous of you? That jealousy is not going to go away, even if you point out this person's error. You know what I mean? It's not going to go away. These people had a pathological, like sick, seriously obsessive jealousy towards me. You know what I mean? And I think it's mainly because they always thought that I was a meek person, and that because I never really verbalized what was going on. They would just start stuff at my workplace, and then I'd end up getting like terminated for bullshit. You know what I mean? Some argument that gets started over stuff that was beyond my control. And then it was like it would always end up explosive, right? And explosive in the sense that I would end up having to leave the company for the stuff that they did. You know what I mean? And for many years, I'm thinking, what is going on? Like, it seems like everything seems like it has a certain pattern to it. Then when I realized what it was, it made me sick to my stomach. It really did. It made me sick to my stomach and made me very upset. And this is where I am now, because like I wake up every day and I'm dealing with the reality that, I'm alone in this world. And it's not because believe me, I don't miss these people. Because when you think about it, I don't miss these people. What I do miss is being ignorant, like being like oblivious to what it really was, what was really going on in my life. I'm a very intuitive person, but when you can, how can I say this? You can start sensing things about people if you want to. When you're around people, you take your family for granted. You think that, well, we have the same mom, we grew up the same way. Why would you have anything against me personally? I mean, you just think that they're kidding, they're teasing, they're bullying is normal. And then when you get older, you realize it's like, no, this is hatred, is what it is. It's hatred, And then, it changes the entire way you look at everything. Like you question everyone that you ever knew. Um, how could somebody like do something like this? you know, and that's something that's going to be with me for a very long time because all my life I thought, well, I never thought of my family as close, but I still thought that these people were going to somehow be in my life, even if it was like sending a postcard maybe once a year or something like that. And now it's like that's completely wiped out. I'm not just talking about my blood relations. I'm talking about everyone. You know what I mean? And it's like, whoa, that's like, it's weird. It's like waking up in the morning is weird. It's like, okay, did this really just happen? Like, this is weird. The whole thing is weird. So I deal with a lot up here. You know what I mean? It's a lot to swallow and like accept and like deal with, like that somebody literally betrayed you that deeply. Like they didn't care about your future or whatever or whatever. I don't know. But it's like, this one guy that I keep in touch with, he's another YouTuber. He's always funny. He deals with a lot of the bullying and stuff like that because of the gang stalking that he's experienced. And he was I don't know. He just kind of put it in a way like, man, they hate me that much. It's like, damn, exactly. To think that somebody hated you that much all those years, and you're going over there for dinner and you just don't even realize, but anyway, I will never apologize for my views. You know what I mean? And if that, I would also like to say that, the jealousy that these people felt towards me, I don't fully understand it, only because, there's a thing that exists in this world, like status, okay? And some people fight for it. They want status so very badly. And there's certain influential people here in this community who's been here probably for a very, very, very long time who have a reputation. You know what I mean? And they earned it, and they had generational wealth here in the community for God knows how long. And I'm not one of those people. But you would think that these people were thinking that I was like going for like, the high life or something, the way they were so cutthroat about a goddamn office job. And I'm wondering, like, seriously, I am seriously wondering lately, have things gotten so bad in the world that this is what we're fighting over? Like, I mean, it would be different if I was like the head of like some big company or something, or I was fighting for that, or they were, but I don't know. I just think it's crazy. I think they were, a lot of people had a negative view for me from about me because of my experience growing up. And I know that for many of you who have been an active participant in my stalking, were probably competitive and angry at the fact that I had some decent jobs, considering the fact that I had problems in school. Now, the problems that I had in school were because of the bullying. I left school, I believe, in my 11th grade year. And I left because of the bullying. And every place I went after that, I was being bullied. And now when you start realizing where that shit came from, it becomes explosive. You know what I mean? But I left because of the bullying. And it wasn't because I didn't like school. It wasn't because I didn't like learning. It wasn't any of that sort of stuff. It was because I'm so sick and tired of having to deal with this demoralizing shit every day. And, my mother drank a lot. And, she would wake up late in the afternoon. And sometimes, my family was dysfunctional, okay? And, and I hate talking about stuff like that. And I'm not saying it to get pity by any means, because a lot of people's families are dysfunctional, and a lot of people's family have, alcoholic parents or whatever. But my parents really didn't know how to raise kids. My mother was one of those people who thought that kids were cute. And, I did too. And that's why I play with baby dolls. But kids aren't baby dolls. They're people who need to be, cared for, and they need to be guided, and they need to be protected from their monster siblings who are causing grief in the playground and everywhere else. Okay, um, so yeah, so people, I know when people leave school early, people immediately think, well, she dropped out because of this, and she just doesn't care, she's dumb, or she's whatever. No, it's not it. And people are always quick to judge that. And I never, I just felt like after leaving high school that, I would just kind of drop off the face of the earth and really not talk to anyone. There was really no point, really, except for a few people that I kept in contact with. But I mean, I never really thought that people followed me and were really interested in knowing whatever happened to Maria, right? But if you think back in grade school and in junior high, I was known to be a pretty smart person. It's just I got tired of the bullying, and it made me resentful towards school and lose interest in it like everything else. But I've always had interest in history and stuff like that, I just, things happen, you know what I mean? And I think people became jealous because I was able to demonstrate that I can do this. Now, I will say that, I'm not saying I'm perfect, okay? And I know that people have tried to compare me to the same knowledge that I have as a CPA. And I think it's because everybody knew that I am a genius, okay? And yes, I am a genius. What was I going to say? Oh, yeah. About the genius, and then trying to poke fun of me and all this other stuff. It is, and it's wrong, okay? And I will tell you why. Not everybody goes to 4-year college and has work in an office job. Now, some people do, and I do know that's it advances people, at least on a piece of paper, but that really doesn't necessarily show that they have a demonstrable skill. That just because I've had several people tell me that they had hired people who had like a 4-year degree, and they ended up being in a big disappointment. And the main reason why is because people tend to learn in theory in college settings and not actually do it like in real time or really experience it hands-on, okay? But people get dealt with whatever they get dealt with in life. And in my case, I had a really hard time, a very, very, very hard time. I'm not using that as an excuse. I've never tried to make anyone feel bad about it or try to put guilt trips on anybody. I have always tried to just pick myself back up and present myself as best I possibly could. Now, when it comes to employment, okay, I know people aren't going to believe this, but it's the truth. Bachelor's degrees are not, how can I say this? It is not a law that you have to have a bachelor's degree to practice any profession, except for licensed professionals that need a particular credential in order to obtain that license. Like, for example, I believe CPAs have to have a certain amount of credits in order to be to take the exam. Okay, by this is their rule of measurement. In order for them to do that, then they can take the exam. But this is a part of the credential that they have to have in order to take that exam. Okay, I believe the same thing goes for being a lawyer and so on and so forth. Okay, but regular office jobs are not. So some people think, well, I thought you can't work unless, of course, you have a degree. In any profession, yes, you can. Legally, you can. It is up to the employer. They can set the bar as high as they want to. They can say, well, 2 years is fine, 4 years is fine. Or we can, even go higher than that. I don't know why they would, but some people would. Okay, but I'm just saying it is up to the employer. It is not a law. And there are several people here in this community. Back in the day, I'm going to tell you what, in high school, you learned a lot. Now, some people think, well, a college education gives you the skills that you need. Not necessarily. Okay, now in high school, there were certain classes that actually gave you skills. Like I remember taking a business class when I was in high school. And you learned skills. The curriculum in high school back then was like, if you were to actually leave high school, people could easily go out and get a job. You knew enough to go out and get a decent job. And office jobs were very common for people who just got out of high school. Now, I ended up working in management positions mainly because I think it was orchestrated for me to do so. And so since I got in those positions, I was like, you know what, I can do this. And I remember thinking, what was the highest level I could ever work? when I first worked and I got my first accounting job. And so I started doing research, and it's like, I could do that. I could do that, and I ended up getting that. It was very strange, but then when you think about how orchestrated it is, it really isn't all that surprising, right? But I think I did pretty good on that, had it not been for the bullying. Okay, now I would say that I am very content with what I'm doing right now, and I don't think that my goal is management, or I don't really know where I'm at right now, to be honest with you, because my brain is kind of fixated right now on healing, number one, and number two, how much damage did these people cause? You know what I mean? And I'm very happy where I am right now. But I'm thinking is, well, what happens if something happened tomorrow? What would happen? What would I do? And I don't want to deal with any more rigmarole with these people. I didn't ask to be put in this situation. So that's important. You know what I mean? And I also would like to say that, I know they talk about college. Well, I would say that when it comes to errors at work, okay, sometimes like the mistakes that I do make, everyone makes mistakes, and they don't need to be like blown up and then like, whatever. But everyone makes mistakes. But I will say that mistakes that I make are not necessarily relating to education. Some of them are mostly like an oversight, somebody skipping or paper sticking together or something that indicates an error that does not have anything to do with learning, writing, reading, something along those lines. It's usually an oversight of some sort, like not necessarily relating to the numbers that I'm working with or the data that I'm working with, if that makes any sense. So college to me is the people that I've met who've gone to college. Now, there are very few people that I've met who've gone to college who come off like they are a little bit better than the rest, meaning that they speak well, they write well, they communicate in broad terms, like they're able to communicate with other people. They show a certain amount of experience, okay, because they benefited from their education. Not only did they read the materials, but they also applied it to their life, in their everyday life. You know what I mean? But most people aren't like that. For a lot of people, they go to college, they take their exams, and they're not able to demonstrate what they learned in real life. You know what I mean? I'm not even really impressed with an education. I don't really believe that it proves that people are more intelligent. I believe that it proves that people can retain a knowledge for a certain amount of time, at least up to the point where they take the test. And then after that test is done, it seems like everything that they learned just kind of disappears. And then I also think that a lot of, because like from the textbooks that I had been carrying around for a very long time, college textbooks, when I would reference them, the way that it's explained in the books, the college textbooks, is not what they actually do anywhere. You know what I mean? So I think some employers, and then people tend to think that college is necessary. I think it helps on your resume for reasons of status, because some people look at certain colleges that have had a very long history, that seem impressive, you know what I mean, on a piece of paper. That does help, because people think of you as maybe a little bit higher up the social scale or whatever. And I think that really is what that means. It's more of a status symbol than it is something that demonstrates people's intellectual ability, because I've seen too many examples of that not being true. Really, I have, you know what I mean? But really, when you go and you present yourself to an employer, sometimes, like if let's just say, for example, when I was looking for work, okay, and I was looking for work, and I put together a resume, and I'm basically telling the employer on my resume, this is what I can do for you. This is my skill set. This is what I can do for you, and this is what I'm focusing on. Okay, and when you talk to an employer, you're supposed to present yourself in a way, you're supposed to highlight your strengths. Okay, you don't need some idiot coming trailing back behind you saying, but she doesn't have her bachelor's degree. That doesn't necessarily matter to every employer. Now, it does now, because they went around and spread this bullshit. But there's a lot of people who work in office positions that had less than I have. So I think, that was kind of fucked up what you guys did. Really, it really was. But I'm not impressed with education. I'm not impressed with so-called professionals at all, really, because the more I think about it, and I've mentioned these issues before, the people who got involved in my targeting, I think about their profession and how it should have, and they're based on their education and the things that they should have known better, and they allowed themselves to participate in this. I just shake my head. Like, I know the mayor in the town that I grew up, he's not only the mayor, but he's supposedly an employment lawyer, right? He's not looking at this situation thinking, this is a crime. You know what I mean? Same people, same thing for all these human resource professionals and all these other people. And the medical profession, where I'm supposed to have, confidentiality with these professionals, and I don't. Okay? So you're either a criminal or you're dumb as fuck. Either one. You know what I mean? So my view of people went from bad to worse. So you got to understand what I'm dealing with mentally. Mentally, something, how can I say this? Something disturbs me on a daily basis. I'm disturbed every day from what I dealt with and from what I think that I'm going to deal with, because I've lost my faith in people. And it's deep. It's really deep, okay? But I'm not somebody who's seeking status. I'm seeking survival. You know what I mean? And I know that some people have it against me because I'm not married. Well, no. And I don't really have any intentions to. And some people, how do you expect to live the rest of your life? I live day by day. That's all I can do. And that's really pretty much what most people can do right now. I mean, sometimes people have a plan. That would have been nice had these people never interfered with me and I was able to find stability, meaning work, and I could be considered just like everyone else. And I wouldn't have people sitting here looking at me, with a, what do you call it? A side glance, because I had perps, putting bugs in their ears, spreading rumors, gossip, and all this other stuff. Life would have been easier for me. You know what I mean? And then I would probably work until I retired and whatever. And that's pretty much what I plan on doing now. I don't know what's going to happen to me tomorrow or anything like that. I don't know. Okay, but I just have to take each day as it comes. And whether I was married or not, I would still take each day as it comes, and I'll tell you why, because I would never allow somebody to support me. Now, I think some people that they find that shocking, and some people think, well, you're just such an individual, you're just taking it to the extreme. Yes and no, okay, and that's not really a part of the philosophy, but it is a part of my own, how can I say, common sense and my need for protection. Okay, I don't want to be abused. Okay, and I already don't have a support system, as you all know. Because, my family's a piece of shit. My ex-husband, who I've been divorced from almost 4 years now, I wouldn't even think of, counting on him or any of his relatives. Okay, all the people who got involved in high school, I don't keep in touch. I have no one in my life. So what happened if I, got all sentimental and shit and, fell in love and all that gross shit, and then I ended up with somebody, right? And this guy felt like he can do the same thing my ex-husband did, but it's even worse this time because I don't have anybody to support me. Now, don't get me wrong, my son has been very helpful, and I'm so grateful that he took care of his mom, okay? But I don't want anyone taking care of me. You know what I mean? And like I said, I could live another year, I could die 10 years from now, I don't know. But whatever it is, it's I understand that I need to have some sort of stability. I fully understand that you guys took a lot out of my life. You guys fucked up a lot of my shit. And I want to bring this up. I had a conversation a few days ago, and we were talking about workplace bullying. Briefly, okay? I was going to talk about dark cups in a minute. My little fascination with dark cups. But we were talking, and I was expressing, it wasn't a very long conversation, but expressing why people need to seriously take a look at this bullying crap, what's going on. I know this whole issue about Ellen and her show and all this other stuff. I think I even addressed it in one of my videos a long time ago, but it's not petty for somebody to want to seek, and I'm not going to, okay, because obviously I can't get any sort of legal action going right now. But it is not a petty thing, a frivolous thing, a stupid thing, or even a greedy, selfish thing for somebody to want to seek um, some sort of, oh gosh, the word is on the tip of my tongue, uh, money for what they've suffered. Now, when I was younger, I used to think that too. Like, some people are just sue happy, and I'm not the kind of person who wants to sue somebody or take something, drag something out a long, long time or period, um, especially legal proceedings. Because I personally think that legal proceedings are far too long. They take for months, years. They can drag on forever. Okay, but what happens? I know I've heard so-called human resource professionals talking about sexual harassment and bullying, and this is how they describe it in these little seminars that they have. And they always talk about, like, they always try to make it seem like positive or try to minimize the effects that it really has, because they themselves probably never experienced it, and they're only talking or being able to share it from their point of view, which is usually wrong. Okay, but they'll talk about it and they go, yeah, so you don't want to get involved with sexual harassment lawsuits or anything, because we're talking about some pretty icky stuff when you're talking about sexual harassment, or you're talking about issues of any kind of harassment, whether that racial harassment or any kind of harassment. These are illegal issues that could harm a business, and they're illegal issues that, people talk about and they try to warn you about in certain training programs, right? But it's not just icky stuff. It can be traumatic, and some people don't recover from it. You see what I'm saying? Some people develop agoraphobia where they can't work anymore. They become, they can't function anymore, because their brain is just so, like, blown away by the trauma and the hurt that they're feeling, the fear. Because if you've been abused in every single workplace that you have ever worked before, okay, what do you think you're going to expect when you walk in the door? What do you think you're going to expect from people, when you start talking to them and certain things happen? You're always, it's just like that whole thing about Pavlov's dog, where like they would ring the bell, and the dog would start drooling because they automatically associates it with food. The same thing happens. I mean, I've been harassed in every single place I have ever worked. You see what I'm saying? So for some people who've dealt with this over and over again, now I'm not talking about me because I'm a strong woman, okay? But for some people, they are never going to be able to go to work again. They are never going to even be able to leave their house. They become shut-ins. Their lives are ruined. Okay? And for these sort of people, I think they do. They do. How much? You cannot put a price on your peace of mind. You cannot put a price. And no, the money that you can get, they're going to pay you out, is not going to cover any of that. Okay? It's not going to cover your heartache. It's not going to cover, and believe me, you're going to deal with financial problems, because you're going to have a hard time getting a job and picking yourself back up and all this other stuff. You're going to have all these issues that you're going to have to deal with. Somebody should pay for that. Somebody should pay for that. So no, I don't think it's petty if people want to go and get what's coming to them. They should get what's coming to them, and I don't think it should be like some sloppy payout. And I don't think the court system should take, such a long period of time trying to gather evidence. There's got to be a quicker way to deal with this. And if they could somehow expedite the process of doing this, and people would start putting pressure on these employers to get their shit together and stop turning out people and traumatizing people and participating in illegal programs and activities. I'm going to speak again about that because it's true. You know what I mean? And I sure, I can function, you know what I mean? But don't you think that there's times where I'm just like, my God, you have no idea what is going on up here sometimes. The depression is real. Okay? It's real, knowing that somebody basically tried to kill you. You know what I mean? That's deep. And so that's how I feel. You know what I mean? And so, I don't think it's petty to do that. And I know that this issue that's going on over on Ellen's show or whatever, I don't know Ellen from squat. I've just seen her on TV. You know, I used to watch her TV shows and stuff like that, and really wasn't too deeply into Ellen. But, you know, and I'm not saying that the harassment is necessarily even her fault, you know, because I know that she's not dealing with the back end completely of what's going on in her show. But, I do think people should stand up and talk about the inhumane treatment that goes on in the workplace. I really do think so. And I think that most times when people die of heart attacks and stuff like that, I do think it's job related. I really do. Not just for minorities, I mean, because minorities have it harder than anyone. But I think the main source of stress for a lot of people is these jobs that, you know, that they're going to every day, you know, and it's not easy out there. It's not easy out there because they'll come home, you know, they'll come into work and they have a bad mood and they want to take it out on somebody. I've seen this happen all the time, you know, and you can think about several times when you've been at work and somebody comes in with their bullshit, you know, and it's got nothing to do with you. You know what I mean? It happens sometimes, right? But I'm talking about when it gets to the point where it escalates to the point of where somebody is putting a bug in these people's ear and they're making them behave in a way that they shouldn't behave. I will tell you, when they feel like they have the authority to abuse you because somebody who you're associated with kind of treats you badly in public, and so they think it's okay for them to mistreat you, they will mistreat you. Okay, and what I've dealt with, it's just unspeakable, and I will never forgive you guys for what you did. Never. This is my life. You know, it's a, you know, maybe it's not the path that you guys chose, and I, you know, you do what you want to do. You know, and I'm not ashamed of my lifestyle either. You know what I mean? I'm not ashamed to say that I'm Maria Gordon. I'm not ashamed to say that I'm a single woman. You know, maybe you guys have values that I don't relate to. You know what I mean? I know that you guys wanted to change me to see your religious views and stuff like that and all this other stuff. Yes, I'm an individual. I see things differently. You know what I mean? And I'm not ashamed of that. And I have the right to. I have the right to view the world the way that I do and live my life and whatever. And maybe you think that, you know, well, since I take care of myself, like I said, I already explained that. I believe in loving yourself and putting yourself first. That's something I truly believe that people should do. You know, everybody should do that. You know, and I'm just somebody I can put it into practice more. You know what I mean? And I'm going to I can decide and choose who I want to care about, who I want to be close to me, who I want to, you know, develop friendships with. Instead of, like, you know, some people accept just the unspeakable. They allow themselves to associate with people who don't care about them. And they're unhappy, and their unhappiness is like spreading off on everyone else. You know, I don't believe in dealing with social cancers. I just don't. You know, and I guess, you know, being a loner pretty much all my life, and yes, I did have, you know, frenemies, you know what I mean? But did I really feel like anyone really understood me? I don't think so. You know, nobody really understood who I was or anything like that. So I think they misjudged me a lot and, you know, tried to put me in a little box, whether that be biracial stereotyping or whatever. I don't know. I am different, but I don't, you know, I'm proud of who I am. I like who I am. You know, I like my choices. I like my beliefs. You know what I mean? And I'm not doing it to be rebellious. I believe that my path is right for me. You know what I mean? It's unfortunate that I've had so many, you know, setbacks and in dealing with bullying and feeling, you know, I do. But I look at myself like I'm doing the bravest thing I can possibly do. Meaning I'm trying to pull myself together and stand up for myself. I don't want to take the easy way out and marry somebody just so he can use me for sex, and then I have no way of getting out if I want to get out. Because I would want to get out. I wouldn't want to deal with that shit. You know what I mean? So, you know, the only thing I regret is being 50 years old and it being counted against me, because people think, or trying to force me into something I don't want to be a part of. I don't want to be married. You know? And I'm tired of people trying to force that shit on me. I don't want it. You know? And it's got nothing. I in my utopia, which I will never force this on anybody, okay? But if my view of the world, I think women should all strive to please themselves. You know, they should love wearing clothes. They should love the things that make life better. You know? It's to me, it just makes sense. Why should you not? And I don't understand like how people get in relationships and they, you know, the guy seems it's really cool. That in fact, he likes the fact that she, you know, she takes care of herself. And then when they get in a relationship, guess what? He starts getting jealous and doesn't like her doing shit anymore. And then all of a sudden she loses herself, her identity, her sense of self, the things that she loves, and she sacrifices her life for somebody who does not love her. Because if he loved her, he wouldn't ask her to do those things. I don't want that shit in my life. And I'm standing firm on it. I don't admire somebody who's going to sit here and try to manipulate me, or who's going to try to make me do this, or to say, if you really love me, you sacrifice this shit for me. Love to me does not involve sacrifice. Sacrifice is when you give up something and you suffer after giving it, but it's like a noble cause type thing. I'm not fucking trying to live a noble cause for anybody. It's bullshit. You know what I mean? To me, if a woman still looks good and takes care of herself, okay, that's an honor to the man that she's with. You know why? Because when a woman gives up her life, her livelihood, her enjoyment, gives up her things that she enjoys, and becomes just a vegetable, basically, that is a bad sign, or a negative reflection on the man, because it shows that he is making her life miserable. Her life used to be good, and now look at her now. Look at how she behaves, how she feels about herself, how she shows herself, compared to how she was before she met him. See, I don't believe in the majority way of thinking. You know what I mean? It's a respectful and honorable thing if a man has a woman and she takes pride in herself. There's too much backward thinking that goes on in this little group that I've been forced to belong to, and I'm tired of it. I'm a forward thinker. Okay? I don't believe the way that you do. And you try to pound your shit into me over and over and over again. I don't accept it. Okay? And I understand being overweight, I understand it's a struggle. It's hard. I understand it. I dealt with it myself for many years, okay? I don't judge people, because I understand people are pleasure seekers. We are unhappy. Most of us are extremely unhappy. So we have to go by and find what gives us pleasure. That's it. It's as simple as that. But if you are with somebody who's constantly telling you, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do this, you can't do that, you're miserable. And you're stuck in a vicious cycle of being miserable. And you're trying to make it work, trying to like compromise, or you start thinking, well, you know, love is about give and take. I hate that bullshit. Don't ever tell me that. I don't believe in that shit. And deep down inside, I don't think most people do either. They have to say that they do because they want to sound socially acceptable, or they don't want to make waves or something. But the fact of the matter is, no. Okay, to me, love coincides. Love is harmonious. You know, it's like it blends well. It's harmony. Okay, not everything is harmonious in this world. Okay, love is a very rare thing, and I accept that. You know, but anyway, I got all pissed off because when people try to ruin my life and rule my life, or try to impose their thoughts on me and their bullshit, because I don't believe your shit and I don't want it. Okay, it's abuse is what it is, and I just don't try to make me normal, because to me, I look at you sexual deviant people and I'm like, you're not normal, by the definition of the textbook, by the definition of law. When I say textbooks, I'm talking about psychology books and stuff. And I'm not saying I'm like, oh, so great either, okay? But don't try to correct my behavior, okay? I know what I'm doing. And I was just trying to live my life. I'm just trying to go along with my life after dealing with all this sort of stuff, okay? I don't believe in give and take. I don't believe in that, I believe we give if we choose to give, and try not to be in a position to take. Don't impose your shit on me. So anyway, I'm going to wrap up this video. I hope all you have a wonderful evening, who are watching my videos and kind of sharing your experiences, knowing and relating to how I'm feeling. And you guys know what it's like to be a targeted individual, or know what it's like to be a scapegoated kid, or whatever, victim of human trafficking, all this other stuff. I hope you guys benefit from me sharing my story with you. I'm hoping to do some more videos, trying to do some more exciting stuff. I might go out this weekend. I don't know. I want to do something original, but I'm trying to get some inspiration after all this. So I deal with a lot, So this video is just me getting some stuff off my chest. So anyway, I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. I'll be back with another video sometime later. Take care. Bye-bye.